During the service, the ground suddenly trembled. The ceiling cracked, dust fell down, and people rushed out of the church in panic. Everyone, except those who hesitated. Those who stayed for just a moment longer. Those who didn't make it in time. It happened in the 1960s. Part of the roof collapsed. From that day on, the church was closed. The village carried on, but no one dared to pray there anymore. Years passed, then decades. The Church of St. George in the small Czech village of Luková stood almost empty for many years. The roof leaked, the walls cracked, and the wooden pews creaked with every breath of wind. People stopped coming, not out of fear. Life had simply changed. The young had left, the elderly had passed away, and the church was gradually forgotten. But one thing kept troubling the locals. Even when the church was closed, it sometimes felt as if it wasn't empty. Years later, in 2012, a young artist, Jakub Hadrava, came to the village. He was looking for a subject for his thesis and happened to enter this abandoned church. It wasn't the decay that struck him. It was the silence. "It feels as if people have just left," he said. And then he had an idea. He began creating figures, simple ones made of plaster and fabric. No faces, no details, just silhouettes of people, as if covered with shrouds. He seated them on the pews exactly as it once had been, some leaning forward, some sitting upright, some as if listening. When he finished, a sense of life returned to the church. At first, the locals were wary. Some were even afraid to go inside. But then something strange happened. People began to recognize their own in these figures. Because the figures have no faces, and that's precisely why they can become anyone. For some, it was a neighbor who once sat nearby. For others, a relative who is no longer there. And for some, simply the feeling that the place remembers people. No one knew whether it was just imagination or whether memory can cling so strongly to a place. But gradually, the fear disappeared. In its place came something else, a sense that the church was no longer abandoned. Now people come there from different countries, some for the art, others for unusual photos. But the locals say that's not the point. The church has simply resumed its role, not as a place where the living gather, but as a place where memory takes shape. And if you sit quietly on a bench beside one of the figures, you may suddenly feel not cold or fear, but a strange, calm sensation, as if you are not alone. Interesting fact. After the installation appeared, interest in the church grew so much that people began raising funds for its restoration. In other words, art quite literally brought life back to a place that had once been considered lost.